Hi, everybody. This is the planet Earth here, and I wanted to talk about the flooding situation and the innocent lives that were taken by the flood waters. But I wanted to show you exactly how Texas rolls when it comes to flooding, and it's very serious. And a lot of Texans usually take it seriously, but sometimes there's no cell phone coverage, and they can't get EAS alerts to their phones. So, in low water crossing areas in the state of Texas, we have what's called barrier gates. What we'll do is we block roads that are subjected to flooding right here. So you'll see the gates here, and they'll lock them out if it's flooding, so people don't pass, and then get their vehicle thrown into the water or to a high stream. All this is susceptible to 20 to 30 feet of flooding, just because of the hill country and the way it's. And this goes for all of Texas. It's not specifically tied to the hill country part of Texas either. Now, this right here is technically the Guadalupe River right here. And see how it's mainly, for the most part, dry? It's dry during most of the summer and most of the winter. It is like this. It is just trees and dry. And so, what happens is, as you can tell here, I think this bridge possibly was brand new at some point. I don't know when this bridge was built, this little bridge here, but they call it High Street and Comfort. Now, this is the Guadalupe how it normally is. It's dry, barely moving, just maybe some mosquitoes. But if it's dry in the air, if the air is dry itself, there won't be that many mosquitoes. And this is the first bridge, just to get for locals to get out. But as you can tell, there's a secondary bridge for when the flooding starts getting serious. And as you can tell, they have a secondary bridge on top of the other bridge for flooding purposes specifically. And you can even see when the flooding has happened in history, you will see these marks here from what happened, what's hit these bridges before when water has gotten that high before. You can see right here. Plus, we have a lot of bad thunderstorms that hit the hill country with high winds and even sometimes tornadoes. And you can see the damage that's done on this specific part of the bridge. It has nothing to do with rust. It's not really a rusty state. It's dry most of the time, and as you can even see right here, there is a faded out marker there for what bridge that is. And Texas is a very well known flood state. It is a very state known to flooding. And occasionally, in 1998, I remember when I was a kid, everything flooded, dams almost breached. It was the most insane thing I've ever seen in my life. And as you can tell, when they build these bridges, they build them to survive just about everything they could think of. As you can see by the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pillars. They don't want that stuff going anywhere when the flood waters get that high. And as you can tell, considering how old this bridge looks, you could tell it's in pretty good shape. And you can tell that the water has gone really high, and you've even got some lines. But yeah, it gets really bad. The flooding here in the hill country can and will get bad. That's why they have all these dips here, as you can see here, because it floods. Now, when these were brand new, these holes were empty, but obviously over the years, they've been covered by dirt, and flooding has, kind of ruined those things. But for the most part, as you can see here, it's relatively safe 99% of the year. But this sudden rain event happened out of nowhere, and the National Weather Service in Austin and San Antonio, they can only do so much forecasting, and they didn't expect this much rain to happen, especially if the storm stalled. Notice how the bridge is still going, and notice how the trees are forming. You see how the trees are forming around the pillars? That's because water can get way up here, and it keeps going and going and going, as you can tell. They build these bridges because they know this area can turn from what looks like an innocent area of Texas, just a standard ass, street, in a country street. And as you can see how it goes up a hill, see how it goes up? And see how the trees kind of form up the hill too? See how it's going up? See how it goes up? It goes up a hill because this is the hill country. But there's some areas that flood and they go up, up, up. And as you can see, as it gets higher, it gets safer. So what ended up happening is, unfortunately, the people that passed away. This really disturbing to me, because this is, this never happens. And the problem is, there's also not a lot of good cell phone coverage out there. Every single spot where these people go camping, there's not enough cell phone towers. And I know this because there's a lot of cutoffs, or there's like one bar, or it might just show a bar of service but not necessarily connect to the internet. It may not receive emergency SOS text messaging. If Verizon and AT&T, because Verizon has a lot of gaps near Leakey, Texas, it can happen like that, where there's a lot of gaps going on, and that's the problem. That's a lot of problem with the state of Texas, is there's a lot of gap of cell phone coverage in the hill country, except for AT&T has the best coverage in the area. But that's what happens though. So as you can see, as you're going down these hill here, you'll see a sign here that tells you, it says road may flood. Yeah, and it does. It definitely did here too, because obviously you see when we zoomed out that we know this, and as Texans we also have gauge meters in some areas. I'll give you an example. There's a gauge meter in a small area here. Let me show you here by Gray Forest. This area tends to flood, can flood pretty dramatically actually. It's very easy to flood here in Gray Forest, Texas. I'll show you. As you can see how it dips, that we have a flood gauge here. This will tell you if it's 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 foot, 4 foot, or 5 feet of water. And it floods. When it floods, it floods. But like I said, 99% of the time in Texas, because of the dryness, and after summer thunderstorms, it usually dries out and nothing happens. But this right here technically can turn into a gigantic mess. And I always, a rule of thumb is to be more than a mile away from any flood gauge sign. When you see a flood gauge, you get the heck away from it. And we have flood gauges in Texas, and they're almost everywhere. Not everywhere, but most everywhere. But when it says road will flood, best believe that a road is going to flood. So if you are in the distance and you see a flood gauge of 5 feet of water, it's probably moving pretty fast because of the way the hill country is set up. You're going to want to get the heck away from this area and know your flooded areas. A lot of people don't know this about Texas. I do know about it because I know that in certain areas it's completely safe, and then in certain areas it's absolute bat crap, flood central if it does flood, like in Comfort. That's why they built Interstate 10 very high. Let me show you something. This is interesting. Let me show you this, okay? So what we have here is the Guadalupe River, right? We also have another river. I don't know what this one's called. I don't know. This is part of the Guadalupe? Yeah, it's part of the Guadalupe. All right, so let me show you Interstate 10. Let me show you how high Interstate 10 is in general. So Interstate 10 is pretty high off of the Guadalupe River, as you can tell. There's a reason. There's a very specific reasoning that they have this elevated. It's not for looks. It's because it floods. And when it floods, it can flood very dramatically in Texas. I mean, it can flood. And a lot of people don't understand how fast the waters, especially with the hill country, the waters can amplify in their speed. That's the reason why they have this all the way to certain areas, and then see how it turns into like normal land? It's because it floods, and it floods really bad near the Guadalupe, and it can get that deep. It can actually get deeper than, it can actually go over this road in certain situations of flooding. I don't know how deep this got, because I wasn't there. If I would have been there, I would have been able to capture it, but it would have probably been very high. It probably would have been almost to the point of the top of the bridge or just below it. But yeah, it must have been bad. All this would have been underwater. But I am letting you guys know that this place does not joke around. This low-lying area here can all be underwater very easily. Notice that these barriers are for protection against the water. and those are called load bearings. See how these are not gapped like the other ones have holes in them? You see right here? And then these ones are very thick, and they're to hold water pressure and distribute that water pressure evenly, compared even to these ones right here. These are standard pillars, but as you can see, they get thinner and then they get thicker. So unfortunately, this is just a really shitty situation for the people of Kirk County and the other surrounding counties. It does happen. It's the hill country. It rarely happens though. That's the reason why you see the dryness, the dirt roads, the dryness. It looks like people park under there sometimes, chill out. Maybe they have a barbecue. I actually can see a car right there. Could be abandoned or they could be chilling. Like I said, it's just really sad. It shouldn't be happening, but it does. And when it floods like crazy. But that's why we have flood gauges, and we road subject to flooding or road will flood. Road may flood. There's no in between. It's either road subject to flooding or road may flood or low water crossing. And some roads in Texas, by the way, have a continuous stream of water going over the roads. I guess because they didn't have enough money to build an over the road, or it's just not feasible to build a bridge. So they just built a road that goes with any kind of river or creek. So when they tell you a flash flood warning has been issued and they say more than 3 to 4 inches of rain, get the hell away from any of these areas and get to high inland areas. If you have an iPhone, use a GPS or altitude map. Get to the highest you can. And I just wish there was some sort of alert system, like a siren system or something, for people that are in remote areas of any part of the state of Texas or any part of the country, that if a massive amount of flooding is issued, sirens should be issued if these dams near Kerrville, which I'm very familiar with too, the little dams in Kerrville, or little, I don't know what the hell you call them, but like right here, Nimitz Lake and stuff like that. Let me show you. Yeah, the Guadalupe River. Yeah, this must have flooded near here probably. It probably didn't flood all the way, but because it goes up a hill, so it might have flooded a little bit here. Yeah, it goes up a hill a little bit. So on this side right here is the river. And if you take, yeah, this definitely was flooded then. So here's a little bridge. Yeah, see right here, I call this a low water crossing. And a lot of in Texas has this. So if the river is like this, you're going to be fine. So when you're passing this, obviously this is probably not passable right now. But they have grates here. I don't know what the grates are for. I think it's to let water through, or could be for animals. I don't actually know. But as you can see here, we do have a lot of these in Texas where they built them. But as you can see, the water can easily overflood this road if needed. So this is for local access, as you can see. But as you can tell from the damage over the years, water will easily go over this and turn it into a madhouse. So they give you so many warnings about this. And this is the reason why as soon as it starts to rain, you'll see sometimes people just exit this area because they know they're not going to get back. And they tell you what's going to happen. They literally tell you, usually on these roads, they'll tell you what's going to happen. All right, it says right here, vehicular crossing only, no standing, jumping, or sitting on bridge. Kerr County maintenance ends, and then it goes into the other county. But as you can see, it's a low water crossing. That's called a low water crossing. We have these all the time in Texas, not just in the hill country, but all over the state. And it'll tell you if anything is abnormal. And like I said, the road could easily flood. That's the problem. A lot of people don't seem to understand that. 1-lane bridge ahead. Watch for ice on bridge. And then, like I said, it'll tell you the same thing. No standing or jumping. But yes, all this can be underwater instantly. And more. I mean, we're talking, it can go all the way up here. I mean, it can go even further than this, actually, if it's a really bad flood. It could even go higher than this. So it can go all the way, almost all the way up to here, or even higher. That's a dead end. And then what's scary is, yeah, I wouldn't want to live here. There's a dead end right there. I don't know if I'd want to live here because this is a dead end. And then that's a bridge, and that you have to go under the river to go through there. And that's not a dead end, but still, I'd be scared that there's not two ways out. Yeah, I probably wouldn't live here. And then there's a sign there. I guess because of it flooding, they close it so you don't drive right into the river. But based on what I'm thinking is the water probably got up to about somewhere right here or even higher. Probably affected this, probably got near this building here. That's why they have these barricades, as you can see. The way they built it up a little bit, as you can see, it probably got about this high or higher. Maybe right here, maybe right there. Maybe it stopped right here, or it even got up into there too. It depends on how. 30 feet of water, so that's freaking high. So these trees were all underwater for sure, 100%. All this was underwater for sure during the peak. But yeah, this I don't know how bad this particular road is. I wonder if it's the same or if it's a lot more broken now. But as you can see, when it floods, and it floods fast, and it happens so fast, you wouldn't even expect it. So that's why I always recommend avoiding these areas during any kind of thunderstorms or previous thunderstorms. If there's no thunderstorms at all, you're safe as big. You could sit here all day long, nothing will happen. You'll be fine. You might get bit by a mosquito. But like I said, this is what we have in Texas. A lot of people don't know Texas, and that scares me that they don't know about Texas, or they won't willing to go out in the middle of nowhere. But unfortunately, like I said, some people build near the river. And to be fair, our river systems in Texas are drier, mostly dry for the most part. We don't have a lot of water because it hasn't rained in so long. So these rivers are pretty empty most of the year. Because it's it's a deserty mix with humidity. Some days are humid, and then some days are drier than a bone. Rest in peace to all the people that have passed away. I just wish there was some sort of siren system. I think that would have helped so much. A siren system, or maybe an SOS through satellite feature through the iPhones, or just something that they could send out to an iPhone or an Android, or maybe a cell phone booster should be required at camps or people's houses, man, so they can get these kind of alerts. Because a tornado, a tornado can do a lot of damage, but a tornado, it depends on where it's going to hit. Like I said, though, we have a lot of these low water crossings, and it's just, it can happen. It happened in 98, and it happened again in 2025, so it's been about 27 years, and I remember the 98 flood. It was so bad. It really messed up South Texas. So yes, guys, rest in peace to all the people in Texas, and I hope they make better decisions on alerting people, because not everywhere has cell phone coverage, especially south of Comfort and these areas here. Anywhere between here and here, there's a lot of areas here, a lot of areas around here that don't necessarily have good cell phone coverage. And as you can see right here, there's been probably flooding. As you can see, there's no green here, so most likely there is either no cell phone coverage, which is normal. There wouldn't be any cell phone coverage. This area here is very remote, and I don't remember if there's cell phone coverage. I've been down this road in about 5 years, so I wouldn't remember if there was cell phone coverage. Probably not. And if there was, it wasn't enough to get a signal, but maybe just enough to, I don't know. I don't remember if there was any cell phone coverage, but I don't think so. But there's a lot of campgrounds around here. But there's not necessarily a lot of, Medina Mountain Road. These are usually off the beaten path. Yeah, these are beaten path roads here, and like I said, there may not be cell phone coverage in these areas. and they're private, and sometimes there's no cell phone coverage, but I don't remember. But regardless, I don't really see a cell phone tower out there. And let me see if I see a cell phone tower. No, I don't. I mean, I see a power pole. Power pole. They got power poles. I'm not seeing any. I don't see any cell phone towers, though. Yeah, there's probably no cell phone coverage. If there is, I don't see it unless it's on an extended tower, extended LTE. Probably not, though. Anyways, like I said, it's just a really rough and tough situation. Rest in peace to everybody out there, though. And look at all this. It could easily turn into a swamp and a flood disaster zone. I mean, easily. This probably gained a few inches, whatever the hell this is. If you don't know what that is. Looks private. Centerpoint Vortex CSI. How's that? What is that? What is that? Is it a sundial? What's that? Okay, I really want to know what the hell that is. Texas Casa Grande? Holiday apartment? Okay. Camp Naked? Camp Coho. Yeah, these are the areas that could pull a HEB Partner Lodge. Kickapoo Camp, Camp Naked, and Camp Coho. Is this the RV park? Yeah. Yeah, you got some houses too. I can't be with you. Ha ha ha. Ha 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 ha. I can't be with you. Camp Bite Me. Alright, it's kind of funny. Chapel Hill, Camp Bite Me. Sky High Camp and Camp Naked. Camp Misinclined. Alright, people got a sense of humor. I'm not gonna lie. Camp Misinclined. Camp Cathedral. Alright, y'all have a sense of humor. I'm not gonna lie, y'all have a sense of humor. Oh, Texas, with your sense of humor. Alright, I will admit, that's actually kind of funny. Sky High Camp. Camp Coho. I can't be with you. I can't be you. Oh. Yeah, that's actually kind of funny. Sorry, but those are funny names. Turtle Creek Community Church, Turtle Creek Resort, Cornbread and Sons Chimney Sweep, St. Peter upon the Water Direct Fluids, Bear Creek Repairs, and Mimi Mansion at Stacy Ranch, Watonia on the River, and Worldmark Hunt Stablewood Springs. Obviously, you could tell this has been damaged. Route 39 here has completely been damaged. But look how close it is to the Guadalupe River. So that means that this road is done. This area is done. It's probably been damaged pretty heavily. Yeah. Once you get the wooden or concrete piles right there, that means there's a lot of damage on this bridge. Yeah, a lot of damage here. And this is a chill area to chill out too. But as you can see, they have all these little wooden pylons. There's a specific reason for it. I just don't remember. But you can tell it floods here easily. And all this is probably underwater. Or was underwater. But definitely the Guadalupe being that small. Yeah. No, yeah. craziest thing is I was only here like 4 years ago. Guadalupe River. Schmatzer Crossing. Yeah, all this was underwater for sure. Probably way far back too. Thank you guys for watching. This has been the Planet Earth here. Rest in peace to all the people that passed away in Texas.